How are you?
Doing great. Everyone, this is Christina Zolotova, the Director of Communications for Coco Eco, and this is my dear friend, Jessica Davis. She is the founder of Boomers Buddies Rescue, a huge animal lover and advocate, a vegan for many years. So we're really excited to interview her today for our Giving Tuesday episode.
Thanks for
So
having me.
welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So this is such a perfect timing that we were able to do this interview because Giving Tuesday is obviously in a week from now. This is Tuesday before. So we just want to cover some big advocates and animal rescues and related causes. So first of all, since Coco Eco is obviously really about sustainability, I know that you've been vegan for many years now, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Vegan for about 10 years and then vegetarian for about 4 years prior to that. So, like 14 years total, not eating any meat or whatnot.
That's awesome. And how did you first decide, or how did you first hear about it? Like, how did you come across?
Yeah, it was an interesting story. So I've always been a huge animal lover, and one day while I was at Earth Day birthday in Orlando, Florida, it's a big, huge punk rock scene. Lots of music artists are playing, and there was a booth there, and this booth just was like displaying. I forget which booth it was. I don't know. It was probably like PETA or one of those, but they were displaying these videos of animals being slaughtered, and I watched the video, and I was like, "What in the heck, like what," and they were informing everybody like, this is what goes on with your food and this is how your food gets to you. And I think there's such a huge disconnect that we don't realize, like, an animal actually gets murdered and slaughtered for you to consume it and land on your plate while you're eating it at Ruby Tuesdays or whatever. And so I saw that video and it totally freaked me out. And I was like, I'm never eating meat ever again. And so from that day forward, I just went cold turkey and I stopped eating meat. And then it was gradually a couple of years later when I fully went vegan and kind of cut everything out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think now it's so much easier too than when it was back then. We have all the vegan cheeses now and all the different products so it is a lot more accessible than it was, 10 years ago, 14 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the vegan industry is booming, thankfully. And brands are catching on. Now you have like regular brands that are now like, Popeyes is now offering a vegan chicken nugget through their drive-through. And it's like, when I went vegan, there was like none of that at all. Like I was like eating, trail mix anytime I went out with my friends because there was no options. And now, Taco Bell, every major huge chain is coming out and they have options now. So it's easier than ever.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, being in Malibu and LA, there's some amazing restaurants that were still around pre-COVID anyway. Hopefully they'll still be around after COVID.
I know.
Fingers crossed.
I know, living out here in LA, we are really spoiled. We have some of the best, vegan restaurants in the world, as does New York and San Francisco, and they have actually won awards. And a couple of these are, I forget the term. It's not Michelin, it's Michelin something, but it's, in that same realm of how amazing it is. And so, yeah, it's been awesome to see all these businesses flourishing and coming out with, vegan restaurants that are doing so well.
Yeah, very cool. So, and obviously, I've always been a fan of your fashion, as you know, because back when we lived in the same city, I used to try to borrow your stuff. But how, I mean, you've always been able to find vegan alternatives to, leather and fur. Can you share more about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it's been easy because it's gotten way easier, but back in the day when I was eliminating these things, man, yeah, it was hard because I was like, I want the sexiest, highest heel that is not, made of cow. And that was like not a thing. And it was like all of these granola looking options, and I was like, I'm not granola, like, vegan doesn't have to be super like granola. I'm like, I want to be sexy and still, being conscious about what I'm wearing and what I'm purchasing. So yeah, it's been, it takes some time, but I think you just have to be willing to search different boutiques. Um, but now there's so many brands that are coming out that are offering options that are, ethical, non-leather, no fur. Um, so that's been great. I think Stella McCartney has been one of the pioneers for setting the precedence of, luxury brands to be able to offer more cruelty-free, ethical, and sustainable fashion. And I really respect her for that, because she was the first one to say, I, will not use certain products. And now other major brands like Marc Jacobs and Gucci are starting to kind of follow trend a little bit and offer, and at least have offerings of items that aren't, you know, made of cow or veal or whatnot. But she's obviously luxury. I love her. I love her stuff, but it's, not really super affordable. Um, but some other affordable brands that I love are Matt and Nat. They offer very chic, simple items that are affordable for almost the everyday person. And they have a really cool concept too, where they use all recyclable materials. And so like their boots, their shoes, their purses, they're all very edgy and fashion forward, but also sustainable for the environment, which is super important, because the fashion industry is one of the most disastrous as far as leading to polluting our landfills and our earth. If you think about it, there's close to 8 billion people, I think, now on this earth, and we're constantly pumping out new clothes. You wear something 2 or 3 times and then you throw it away, and then every single season, summer, fall, winter, there's different trends that come out, and so it is super polluting and disastrous. But I think brands now are starting to focus on more sustainable options, because people, I think, and consumers are a little bit more aware of what they're purchasing and being and
And I
participating.
think, I mean, it's definitely, I think it comes to where consumers are asking for it. So it's driving the demand up. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Thankfully, I think, a lot of people are starting to, like you said, demand these things from a lot of these brands, and people are listening, and so that's exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. No, we for sure needed, like you said, the fast fashion. It needs to be more sustainable for sure, because otherwise, yeah, climate change is real.
Yeah, I think, something as simple as buying a little bit higher quality items and keeping them for longer, as opposed to buy. I mean, I will admit, I have, I'm becoming more aware, but like I've always been fast and like, oh, I want this, and I literally will wear it for like, one summer out of the year, or one, short period out of the year, and then toss it and I'll never wear it again. But now I'm trying to become a little bit more aware of like buying higher quality items that are going to last longer and that are universal, that I can wear next year and the year after that, as opposed to just tossing it after a few wears. And I think if everybody did that, it would start to change, the way that we're putting out on this earth, and the items that we're contributing to polluting and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it starts with every single person. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I know that, I mean, speaking with like you, wearing something for one season, I know that you also do a lot of volunteering when you travel. I know you love to travel. Um, I know you've done some stuff with the orphanage in Mexico and a lot of different things. So tell us more about that.
Yes. So traveling is one of my other passions. I love traveling. I've been to like over 30 countries. It's something that I really love doing. Um, Pre-COVID. Right now it's been difficult, so I've just been traveling around California. But yeah, I mean, I think, I started to feel like this weird disconnect when I was traveling, and I was just taking from everywhere I went. And you go somewhere, you take a little bit of their culture, you take their food, you take their, you just are using, but you're not really contributing much. And so I wanted to try, at least, and it doesn't work every time, because logistics and whatnot, but I wanted to try to give back every place that I travel, whether it be my time or whether it be supplies. I found that it's very easy to research some nonprofits in the areas that you're going to be staying in and saying, hey, I'm coming from the United States, I'm visiting. Do you need anything? Is there anything that I can help with bringing? Because, a lot of the items are cheaper here in the US. Or easily accessible to us, but not necessarily to people like living on small islands.
Mhm.
So for example, Bali, I hit up a nonprofit. It was an animal nonprofit, the largest one over there. And I said, what do you need? And they were like, we need medical supplies. If there's a shortage, we can't, it's hard to get it over here. And I said, I got it. I got you. What do you need? So they sent me a list, and I was able to get all of the stuff and bring it to them. And I think just helping the already established nonprofits that, wherever you're visiting, I think that's one of the easiest ways to give back. And then, your time, of course, sometimes there are opportunities to volunteer your time, but you have to be very careful. And it's something that I've learned the hard way. And I've eventually realized that I wasn't necessarily contributing the best way, by giving my time, or like giving my time to certain places, like, for example, orphanages. And I used to go and I used to volunteer my time. And it's not necessarily the best way to help, because if you think about it, you're going to an orphanage, and you are sitting there for a couple hours or however long, a week, 2 weeks, and then these kids get really attached to you, and then you leave, and then the next volunteer comes, and then they get really attached, and then creates like this instability for the kids there. And so you have to kind of evaluate every time that you are giving back, just to make sure that it is ethical, and that you're also not taking jobs away from the locals. I went to volunteer in Thailand and at this elephant sanctuary. And I did a little bit of research, because I was like, I don't want to volunteer my time and take away from a job that could be for somebody getting
Yeah.
local in the village. But they employ over 400 people. So I was like, okay, they already employ a lot. It's such a massive facility that me going for, a week, 2 weeks is not, I'm not going to like take anyone's job. I might lighten the load a tiny bit, but like, I'm not, a completely trained person. So I'm moving slower. I might lighten the load a little bit, but I'm not going to take away someone's job. And that was something that, started to become important to me. And also I think, not wanting to like do things for the wrong reasons or whatnot. So yeah, it's something that I've had to adjust along the way. But I think the easiest way is to support nonprofits that are already established in the areas by bringing supplies or donations, money or whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I think, I mean, we've done some volunteering together where we've definitely found out that, okay, you really have to research the local partners and make sure that they're doing what they say they're doing and all that. But that's awesome. And I know that you always try to support also local businesses when you can. So
Yeah.
it always, like you said, is just a matter of research and really going in with knowledge.
Yeah, I think that it's so important that whenever you're going, you're supporting the locals, the local mom and pops, the smaller chains. In every country there are like huge Hyatts and the Four Seasons. And I'm like, I'd rather support something local, a local brand, a local, Airbnb is a great way, because it's going directly to the people, the locals that live there. And so obviously it's not always the case. Like when I travel with my fiance, he's a little bit more like bougie, he wants to stay in nicer places. And I'm like, I don't really care. I'll stay in the village with the locals. Um, so there's a little bit of we have to compromise, but I think whenever you can, I think it's important to kind of keep that in mind, just supporting the local businesses, and have that be on your priority when you're visiting different
For
countries.
sure. Yeah. And I mean, that's so important traveling and just in our everyday life too. Small business Saturday, everybody out there, go shop your small
Yes.
businesses.
Yeah, you know what, you're right. Just living your everyday life, it's also super important to have to support your own small businesses that are around you. And that's something that I became more aware of, because, my fiance started a coffee shop, and cafe. And, I was like, okay, I can't go to Starbucks anymore. I've got to start supporting my local mom and pop shops that, are close by, because that's, would be like weird of me to do. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things I think that you don't really know until until you're made aware of the impact. that makes. And then you're like, oh, okay. So now I'm going to do this all the time because now I see what the results are. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you're kind of closely, related to the subjects that you're trying to, be more aware of.
Yep. So that brings us to Boomer's Buddies Rescue.
Yeah.
So I know this story, but I don't think a lot of others do yet. So tell us how Boomer's Buddies came around, and obviously Boomer, the Boomer.
Yes. So Boomer came around. Yeah. So it's almost been 4 years, and Boomer was posted on Facebook by somebody, and it made its rounds on social media, and I saw it, and I felt this deep connection to this dog. And he had been stuck in the shelter for 4 years. And so he was suffering from kennel crazy. He was going out of his mind, and he was spinning in his kennel, and lunging and jumping, and just very erratic behavior. And I tried for a while for a rescue group to pull him or to take him on, or somebody, and nobody would, because I think he was very intimidating. And but I decided to go, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go, and I'm going to get this dog. I'm going to bring him back. And everyone was like, you've never met this dog, you're crazy. And I'm like, it's fine, I'll figure it out. Like, I just need him here, and I'll figure it out.
He's coming from California, so
yeah. So he was in Florida, and I was in California. So I was like, logistically, it was a little bit difficult, but I made it work. I flew out to Florida and went to visit him at the shelter, and he was pulling me like crazy. And I was like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? But he was so excited to go for a walk. And then the next day we loaded him up, and he flew in cargo. And we flew him back to California, and yeah, the rest is history. I mean, he's been amazing. He's the easiest dog. He loves cats, dogs, kittens, turtles, chickens, everything.
I've had pretty much everything come through your place. So
yes, I've had everything. And he's just is like, I call him like a big Eeyore. He's very like, doo, 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 like, but it just goes to show you that just with the chance of getting out, and with some TLC, and some training, that he's been a wonderful dog. I mean, he's awesome. He's the easiest dog. We go on tons of, trips together and hikes, and we do lots of fun stuff. And I try to make up for the time that he was in the shelter. And then he inspired me to start a nonprofit called Boomer's Buddies Rescue, because there's so many dogs in the shelters and cats here in California. And I've been doing rescue work for many years independently, but I decided to formally form something. And so it is a nonprofit 501c3, and we focus on animals that have medical needs. So they are at higher risk of possible euthanasia, because they have medical issues that the shelters can't deal with. And so we go in, and we'll take some of these animals, we get them the medical care that they need, and rehabilitate them, and then adopt them out. And it's super rewarding. And I decided to name the nonprofit after him, because he's such a huge inspiration for me to start it, and to continue to help animals like him get out of the shelters. So
yeah, no, it's so awesome. And I mean, he's just such a great dog. And like you said, it just goes to show that I truly believe that any dog has, a place somewhere. And, it's just a matter of getting them out and letting them decompress, and then getting them the training and the nutrition and everything else that they need, the medical care.
yeah, absolutely. I think, the shelter environment it's very stressful for animals. It's loud, there's different smells, there's different dogs coming in and out, there's different people. And so shelters, animals can not show their true behavior in those environments. And so I think it's important that, like you said, there's a place for every animal. And all it took was me getting him out, and then he was fine. I was like, oh, you're not crazy. Like, I thought you were going to be crazy, but he was like, no, I'm cool. Like, I just need it out.
Need it out of this little cage that I was in for 4 years.
Yes. He was like, I just need it out. And I'm like, okay. Like, I was like waiting for the ball to drop, but he's been great, and he just needed out. And so he's awesome. And I can't imagine my life without him.
Aw. Yeah, well, he's been a great big brother to the kittens that you have right now. So Tell us about the kittens.
Yeah, so we have several kittens available for adoption right now. I have 3 at my house, 1 in a foster home. So yeah, we have 3 kittens that are available for adoption, and 2 of them are super friendly and outgoing. The other one's a little skittish, but she'll warm up eventually. But yeah, they're about 5 months old now, and vaccinated, microchipped, spayed and neutered. All of our animals come with vaccinations, spay and neuter, microchipped, all of that before they're eligible for adoption. And so, yeah, they're ready. They're looking for their home, and it's they're not tiny anymore. So I think people love these tiny, tiny kittens, and I get it. But so it's been a little bit harder to find homes for these guys because they're a little bit older. They're bigger now.
They're
But
super adorable. I mean,
they
it's
are. They're beautiful.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
the video that you posted yesterday on Instagram where they're just cuddling with each other and the dog. One of the other dogs that you have, one of the other rescues.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the
like
Roomba, they're like just like all chilling. They're like whatever. They're like not phased by anything anymore. Yeah, my house is like, pretty much a revolving door for all animals, and they have to get along. They don't really have a choice. And so they all get along with the dogs get along with the cats, and so it works.
yeah, and I know you've had, I mean, all sorts of animals come through. I know that you guys obviously specialize in dogs and cats, but through some of the other rescues that you work with, you had like chickens and
Chickens, roosters, turtles, yeah.
possums, I think.
Yeah, we've had opossums, we've had those. We've had squirrels. We're not supposed to take in wildlife, which is like anything not domesticated. But we've held on to them for a couple days and got them through until we found a proper sanctuary to take them on, or proper rehabbers. But yeah, I mean, we had everything.
And Boomer has been the head. I said, and Boomer has been just watching over them patiently.
Oh yeah, he's just like, what now? Like, what is that? Like, I brought him this giant turtle the other day, and he was like staring at it, like, what is this, Mom? And I was like,
oh man. All right, so now we talked about the kitties that you have up for adoption, and I know that you have some other ones coming along, but they're just not ready for adoption yet. If somebody was interested in adopting, or maybe even signing up to foster, or donating, where is the best way? Where can they find you?
So our website, boomersbuddies.com, is the easiest way for you to find all of the animals that are up for adoption. Ways for you to donate is on there. There's a link. There's also our Amazon wish list if you wish to donate that way. And then, of course, our social media handles, Boomers Buddies Rescue for Instagram and Facebook. We have obviously a lot more footage on there of all of our animals.
And super cute videos and photos all the time. So
yeah, we try to pump it out and keep people engaged and aware, and we're super transparent, so we want people to follow along with all of the animals' journeys that we take in. And a lot of our animals are contagious, so I'm like gloved up and like in all these videos, I'm like, you're seeing it, this is what you're supporting, so thank you. But we're everyone abreast of what's going on within our rescue.
No, but it's so important, I think, to be transparent and to have that there, because then people really feel like they're a part of it if they are supporting it. So
yeah, absolutely. And they can see the full, like, before and during and then after, and then after when they get adopted, we try to post our updates on there as well. So
yeah, awesome. And then I know Giving Tuesday is coming up, and I think we spoke about this, that Facebook is doing a match or something like that.
Yeah. So for the first $7 million raised, Facebook is offering to match. And then after the first 7 million, they're offering to match 10% of whatever rescues raise. And so, yes, we will be pushing out some Facebook, because it's sold, that Facebook thing is solely on Facebook. The Facebook matching is solely on Facebook. So we'll be pushing the Facebook on our Facebook through my personal, you'll kind of see it floating around on my personal ones. Because it's interesting, nonprofits themselves can't post Giving Tuesday, like, or, you
Oh,
know,
interesting.
or,
Okay.
yeah, it has to be like another person raising that money for a nonprofit. So it's interesting that way. Um, but yes, please donate. It's the global day of giving. Anything helps, even $5. $5 can help us buy a couple cans of cat food, which is like, hot commodity these days because we have like large cats eating right now. So yeah, so anything helps, and Giving Tuesday is a great way to give back.
Awesome. And so, as if it's like a personal, if it's just a person that's trying to fundraise for Boomers Buddies, they can just select it when they go in to like fundraise.
Yes, good question. So if you want to help us out, you can create your own fundraiser. It's very easy, and you'll see it pop up, and it'll say what charity you wish. You type in Boomers Buddies, and we'll pull up, and then you can set a goal, and then you can write a little bit about why you're wanting to help us, with fundraising. Or there's like a generic thing that Facebook will populate, but it's super easy to help and it's not just us. Like, if anybody wants to donate for children or for horses or whatnot, it's so easy these days to do it. And it's free for you to do. And Facebook doesn't take out any of the funds. So we're getting 100% of whatever is raised. So that's always awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I feel like I've done those before, but I just never I didn't realize that the rescues or whatever the nonprofits themselves couldn't actually post it. So that's good to
Yeah.
know. So I'll make sure that I create it before.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Awesome. Well, this has been such a fun conversation. It's always
I
great seeing
know.
your face.
I know. Same with you. I miss you.
I miss you. And thanks again for taking the time. And everybody go follow Boomers Buddies Rescue.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.